we were going to talk about this at the beginning, but we didn't get a chance to. Tell us about who Paul Hiebert is. We've referred to his name a couple of times. I know many in our audience are not going to be familiar with him, but he's a pretty amazing thinker, and his insights, though he's with Jesus now, his insights are still permeating across many within the mission. I would say missiology specifically, but just people, how they're going about church, and in the Western context too. These ideas that he gave are pretty paradigm shifting.
Yes.
In a way. But tell us a bit who Paul Hiebert was.
Yeah. So one neat thing to say, and I dedicated the book to him and my students, because he went to the seminary where I now teach. So not at the same time or anything, but so he grew up Mennonite Brethren in Kansas, and went as a missionary to India. And I mentioned Kansas because there he is in India, and he's like, okay, you'd have someone, they'd come and what's it mean to be a Christian? So in Kansas, it's, well, you accept Jesus as your personal savior, you're a Christian. And so he's in India, and he's talking to someone, would you like to accept Jesus? And they say yes. And then he goes and visits them and talks to them more, and they have Jesus up on their shelf with their other 10 gods or something. And he started to realize, oh, this language, this way of conceiving, it's not working here. And that was the root of him coming up with bounded, fuzzy, and centered, of thinking, okay, I need a different way of discerning who's a believer, who belongs in the India context. He went on and did his PhD in cultural anthropology and taught at Fuller Seminary, and then later at Trinity Deerfield in Illinois. And I should mention, so we're talking about Paul Hiebert in relation to these bounded, fuzzy, and centered. I think, it might be to say, oh, Mark Baker, he's all about bounded, centered, and fuzzy. Like, this is one chapter in Paul Hiebert's books. So his work on, contextualization, pressing the difference between, openness to things of the spirit and the spirit world and other parts of the world compared to the West. Like, he's done a lot. He did a lot of work in a lot of areas in, missiology, cultural anthropology, missionary anthropology.
So you're talking about the flaw of the excluded middle? Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah.
For those that don't know, that's actually a fascinating thing in our culture today. Actually, explain that really quick for people. Just this flaw of the excluded middle.
Yeah.
People are like, okay, what are you guys talking about? I want to follow along. Explain it, because it really has tremendous effects on us in the West. Especially for those who are not used to certain things that go on in other cultures, you're going to encounter it if you haven't. If you're interacting with anyone from a different culture, usually a first generation, you're inevitably going to encounter it. But go ahead, explain it.
And I don't actually remember the language of middle and this, but so feel free to interrupt or add to this after I'm done. But what I remember is this sense of you have this clash of missionaries. So you take a missionary from, suburban New York, and you send them to, East Africa or West Africa, and they go into a village in which, the realm of the spirits, this is not fantasy there. Like the cursing people and, whether they call it demons or something, but the spirit world is part of daily life. And so you have this missionary communicating a gospel which is coming from an intellectual, scientific realm, and it is just ignoring, not being in touch with this whole other realm of life, which is part of reality, daily life for these people. And Hiebert's saying, we are missing in a big time way in this sense of being missionaries if we're not engaging this other realm.